Welcome, freaks. The signal is live. Let's cause some chaos. The fun's just be time to burn it all down!
Ah, look at you sitting there, calm, collected, completely unaware that right now, at this very moment, someone at the very top just asked a question about you. And not just any question. The kind of question that changes everything. The kind that makes rooms go silent and people start sweating. They asked your abuser. They asked the one who hurt you, betrayed you, destroyed you, tried to erase you. And the question was simple, brutal, unavoidable. Do you know who you hurt? And here is the beautiful part. Your abuser doesn't know yet. They have no idea. They think they got away with it. They think you disappeared into the background like all their other victims. They think your name is just another forgotten file in their history of destruction. But someone knows now. Someone at the top. Someone with power. Someone who doesn't ask questions unless they already know the answer. And they are coming. Let me paint you a picture of what is happening right now while you are watching this. Somewhere in a room you will never see, there is a conversation happening that your abuser never saw coming. Their name was mentioned. Their actions were questioned. Their past was pulled up like evidence at a trial they did not know they were attending. And the person asking the questions, they are not asking because they are curious. They are asking because they already did the research. They already connected the dots. They already know what happened to you. And now they want to know if your abuser knows, if they understand, if they have any idea what kind of storm is about to hit them. Because ignorance is no longer protection. It is just proof of how blind they have been. Your abuser thought they were untouchable, didn't they? They thought their position, their connections, their charm, their ability to manipulate reality would keep them safe forever. They thought nobody would ever look deep enough. Nobody would ever care enough. Nobody would ever ask the right questions. But they were wrong, because someone did. Someone looked past the surface, past the performance, past the fake smiles and polished reputation, and they saw you. They saw what was done to you. They saw the pattern, the trail of broken people left behind, and they asked the one question your abuser never prepared for. Do you know who you hurt? And the answer that is about to come out, it is going to destroy everything your abuser built on lies. You know what is beautiful about this. You did not even have to say anything. You did not have to scream your truth from rooftops. You did not have to beg for justice or validation or revenge. You just existed. You healed in silence. You rebuilt yourself when nobody was watching. You walked away with dignity while they continued their destruction, thinking they were invincible. And now, the universe has sent someone with actual power to ask the question you stopped asking years ago because you already knew the answer. But they are about to find out the hard way what happens when you underestimate someone who turned their pain into power, someone who became unbreakable while they were busy breaking others. Let me tell you what is really happening behind the scenes. Because this is not just about one question. This is about a system, a structure, a web of people who thought they could operate in darkness forever. Your abuser. They were not working alone. They never are. There were enablers, silent witnesses, people who knew and said nothing, people who benefited from your destruction, people who smiled at you while sharpening knives behind their backs. And for years, this network functioned perfectly. Everyone played their role. Everyone kept their mouths shut. Everyone protected each other. Because that is what predators do. They build ecosystems of silence. But something shifted. Someone at the top, someone who is not part of that ecosystem. They started asking questions. And when people at the top start asking questions, everything beneath them starts cracking. Here is what your abuser does not understand yet. Power is not about titles or positions, or how loud you can talk in a room. Real power is about information, about knowing what others think is hidden, about asking questions that expose the architecture of lies people built their lives on. And the person asking about you right now, they have that kind of power. They are not some random observer. They are not someone your abuser can charm or manipulate or intimidate. They are someone who sees through performances, someone who values truth over comfort, someone who doesn't care about protecting reputations built on destruction. And they ask the question, do you know who you hurt? Not as an accusation, not yet, but as a test, a trap, because they already know the answer. They want to see if your abuser will lie, if they will minimize, if they will play dumb. And every single response your abuser gives from this moment forward is being recorded, evaluated, used as evidence for what comes next. You want to know why this matters so much, because your abuser's entire existence is built on a foundation of other people's silence. They have gotten away with everything because their victims stayed quiet, because society told you to move on, to forgive, to not make waves, to be the bigger person while they continued destroying lives without consequence. But silence only works when everyone participates. And now someone broke the code. Someone with authority, with influence, with the ability to make things happen, asked the question out loud. And once that question is asked in rooms that matter, once powerful people start looking into what happened to you, the silence is over. The protection is gone. And your abuser is standing in the middle of a stage they did not know existed, with lights pointing at every shadow they tried to hide. Here is the part that will drive them crazy. They will not know who asked. They will not know who knows. They will not know how much information is out there, or how deep the investigation goes. They will start second-guessing everything, every conversation, every email, every person who knows their history. Because paranoia is the price of being exposed when you thought you were invisible. They will lie awake at night, wondering if you said something, wondering if someone else came forward, wondering if their entire empire of manipulation is about to collapse because one person decided to ask one question. And the answer is going to be worse than anything they imagined, because they hurt someone who mattered, someone who survived, someone who became evidence of their cruelty just by continuing to exist and thrive despite everything they did. Do you know what the cruelest part of this is? Your abuser still does not know. They still think they are safe. They still think their past is buried. They still walk around with confidence, with arrogance, with that disgusting sense of entitlement that comes from never facing consequences. They hurt you and moved on. They probably do not even think about you anymore. You are just another name in a long list of people they stepped on to get where they are. And that right there, that ignorance, that casual cruelty, that is what makes this moment so perfect. Because they have no idea that someone is watching now. Someone who matters. Someone who has the power to make their world collapse with one conversation. And they are about to find out that forgetting about you was the biggest mistake they ever made. Let me tell you what happens when someone at the top starts asking questions first. There is confusion. People scramble. They try to figure out why this matters. Why now? Why you? Your abuser will probably laugh it off at first. they will minimize. They will say things like, "It was a long time ago. Things were complicated. You are being dramatic." They will try to control the narrative the way they always have. But here is the thing. The person asking the question is not asking for an explanation. They are asking because they already have the facts. They know what happened. They know how you were treated. They know the lies your abuser told. And now, they want to see if your abuser has the courage to tell the truth, or if they will keep lying, keep minimizing, keep pretending they are innocent. Because every lie they tell now adds weight to the judgment that is coming. Your abuser thought they could control reality. They thought if they told their version of the story loud enough, often enough, people would believe it. And for a while, it worked. People believed them. People sided with them. People looked at you like you were the problem. And you carried that shame, didn't you? You questioned yourself. You wondered if maybe you were too sensitive, too dramatic, too broken to be believed. But deep down, you knew the truth. You knew what they did. You knew how they twisted reality. And you held on to that truth, even when nobody else would. Even when it felt like the whole world was gaslighting you into silence. You held on to it. And now someone else sees it too. Someone who has the power to do something about it. Someone who is not afraid of your abuser's reputation or connections or carefully crafted image. Here is what your abuser does not understand about people like you. You do not need revenge. You do not need vindication. You do not need them to apologize or acknowledge what they did, because you already healed. You already moved on. You already built a life they can never touch. But justice is not about you needing it. Justice is about the universe correcting itself. It is about consequences, finally catching up to people who thought they were above them. And that question, do you know who you hurt? It is not being asked for your benefit. It is being asked because someone at the top realized that people like your abuser do not just hurt one person. They hurt everyone they touch. They leave trails of destruction everywhere they go. And eventually someone has to stop them. And that someone just asked the first question. And your abuser has no idea what comes next. Let me take you deeper into what is about to happen. Because this is not just about one conversation. This is about the unraveling of an entire false reality. Your abuser built their life on a carefully constructed lie. They built a reputation. They built relationships. They built success. All of it standing on a foundation of people they destroyed along the way. And foundations like that, they do not collapse all at once. They crack slowly, quietly, one question at a time, one investigation at a time, one person at a time, realizing they were lied to. And right now, the first crack just appeared. Someone at the top asked the question, and now other people are going to start asking questions too. People who trusted your abuser. People who defended them. People who looked the other way because it was easier than facing the truth. They are all about to have a very uncomfortable awakening. You know what happens when one person with authority starts questioning someone's character. Everyone else starts paying attention. People who ignored red flags. People who dismissed victims. People who participated in the cover-up, whether they knew it or not. They all start reevaluating. They start remembering things. Small things. Moments that did not make sense at the time. Comments that seemed off. Behavior that felt wrong, but they could not quite name. And suddenly all those little moments start forming a pattern, a picture, a truth they can no longer deny. And your abuser, Your abuser is going to watch in real time as people who once supported them start stepping back, start questioning, start distancing themselves. Because nobody wants to be associated with someone who is about to be exposed. Nobody wants to be the person who defended a monster. Here is the beautiful irony. Your abuser probably spent years telling people that you were the problem, that you were unstable, dramatic, vindictive. They probably painted themselves as the victim of your chaos. And people believed them because your abuser is good at performing innocence. They know how to cry on cue, how to manipulate sympathy, how to make themselves look like the reasonable one while you looked crazy. But now, someone with power is looking at the situation with clear eyes, and they are seeing what you saw all along. They are seeing the manipulation, the gaslighting, the cruelty disguised as care, and they are asking the question your abuser never wanted anyone to ask. Do you know who you hurt? Because if they did know, if they truly understood, they would not be able to maintain the performance. They would not be able to look people in the eye and pretend they are innocent. Let me tell you what your abuser is about to lose. First, they lose the narrative. They lose the ability to control how people see them. Because once someone at the top questions their character, everyone else starts questioning too. Second, they lose protection. All those people who enabled them, who covered for them, who looked the other way, they are going to start protecting themselves instead. Nobody goes down with a sinking ship when they have the option to jump. Third, they lose credibility. Everything they built, every relationship, every achievement, every moment of respect they ever received, it all gets re-examined through the lens of what they did to you and everyone else they hurt. And fourth, they lose peace. Because once you know someone is asking questions about you, once you know your past is being investigated, you can never relax again. Every phone call could be the one. Every meeting could be the confrontation. Every day could be the day everything falls apart. And that psychological torture, that constant fear, that is the beginning of justice. Now we enter the phase your abuser feared but never truly believed would come, the reckoning. Because asking the question, do you know who you hurt, is just the beginning. That question is the match. What comes next is the fire. And your abuser is standing in a building made of lies, soaked in gasoline, wondering why it suddenly feels so hot. They are about to learn something fundamental about how the universe works. You can run from consequences for a while. You can hide. You can manipulate reality. You can silence victims. But eventually someone asks the right question. And once that question is asked, everything you buried starts clawing its way to the surface. And there is no stopping it. There is no damage control. There is no spinning the narrative. There is only the truth. Raw, ugly, undeniable. Coming for everything you built on the backs of broken people. Here is what your abuser does not understand about powerful people who ask questions. They do not ask unless they already have answers. They do not investigate unless they already suspect. They do not bring up your name unless they already know your story matters. So, when someone at the top asked, do you know who you hurt? They were not seeking information. They were testing character. They were creating an opportunity for your abuser to tell the truth, to take accountability, to show even a shred of remorse. And your abuser, being exactly who they are, probably failed that test spectacularly. They probably lied, probably minimized, probably blamed you, probably played the victim. And every single word they said in response to that question was recorded, remembered, added to a growing file of evidence that they are exactly what you always knew they were: a predator, a manipulator, someone who hurts people and feels nothing. You want to know why this moment is so powerful? Because for years, you carried the weight of what happened to you alone. You tried to tell people, and they did not believe you. You tried to get help, and you were dismissed. You tried to move on, and the trauma followed you like a shadow. And through all of that, your abuser lived freely. They moved through the world unburdened. They built success on your suffering. They smiled in public while you cried in private. They thrived while you barely survived. And nobody stopped them. Nobody questioned them. Nobody asked them to explain until now. Now someone with actual authority, with real power, with the ability to make consequences happen, asked the question. And your abuser's response, whatever it was, is about to determine the rest of their life. Because people at the top do not forget. They do not let things go. When they ask a question and do not like the answer, they act. And action from people with power is the only thing people like your abuser actually fear. Here is what comes next, and you need to understand this because it is already in motion. Once someone at the top starts questioning someone's character, other people start coming forward. People who were too scared before. People who thought they were alone. People who assumed nobody would believe them. They hear that someone is asking questions, and they find courage. They share their stories. They add their voices to yours. And suddenly your abuser is not dealing with one victim they can discredit. They are dealing with a pattern, a history, multiple people saying the same things, describing the same behaviors, exposing the same tactics. And patterns are impossible to deny. Patterns are evidence. Patterns are proof. And your abuser is about to be buried under the weight of every person they thought they silenced, every victim they thought they erased, every life they thought did not matter. They all matter now. Because someone at the top asked the question, and now everyone is answering. Let me tell you about the loneliest moment in a predator's life. It is not when they are caught. It is not when they are confronted. It is the moment they realize nobody is coming to save them. The moment they look around and see that all the people who used to protect them are gone. All the enablers, all the defenders, all the people who looked the other way. They are all suddenly very busy, suddenly very quiet, suddenly very concerned with protecting their own reputations. And your abuser is about to experience that loneliness in ways they never imagined. Because when someone at the top asks questions about you, everyone beneath them starts calculating. They start asking themselves, is defending this person worth risking my own position, my own reputation, my own future? And the answer is always no. Always. Nobody sacrifices themselves for someone who is about to be exposed. Nobody goes down defending someone whose crimes are coming to light. Your abuser thought they had allies. They thought they had people who would stand by them no matter what. But those were never allies. Those were accomplices. People who benefited from the same system of silence and manipulation. People who needed your abuser to be innocent. Because if your abuser is guilty, then they are complicit. But here is the thing about accomplices. They turn, they flip, they save themselves. The moment someone at the top starts asking questions, accomplices become witnesses. They start sharing what they know. They start admitting what they saw. They start distancing themselves from the sinking ship as fast as possible. And your abuser is going to watch in real time as everyone who claimed to support them suddenly develops amnesia. Suddenly does not remember things quite the way your abuser does. Suddenly has concerns they never voiced before. And that betrayal, that abandonment, it is going to hurt your abuser more than anything you could ever do to them.